Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the number one podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. I'm your host, Steve from Acres of Timber. Each week, we feature various wood business owners and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We share their stories, paths, insights so that you can network, learn, and grow your own wood business. Thank you so much for listening. Now enjoy the episode. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. This is your host, Steve Larziliere, and today's guest is Jacob Reinbold from Reinbold Inc. How you doing, Jacob?
I'm doing good. How about you, Steve?
Good. Hey, why don't you tell everybody about your company and the amazing work that you do?
Well, I appreciate that. My business is Reinbold Incorporated. It's a description is interior renovation and fine tailored woodwork, and so that's the majority of what we do. Is a lot of what I think this conversation will be centered around is how I'm generally my biggest client on the woodworking, the work side, and so I have this operation that really puts an emphasis on just custom millwork and hard to execute details, and you can tell that's what my projects really reflect.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of idea.
Yeah. How'd you get your start?
Well, how you would expect, I started my business. I'm 34 years old now. But when I was 20 years old, I really kind of ventured off from I had a guy give me an opportunity when I was 14 years old and really planted the seed in me and said, hey, do you want to come work for me? And I didn't really have a whole lot of direction in my life and didn't know what the heck I was going to do. And really, obviously, super thankful for that because it really changed the trajectory of where I was, what I was headed towards. And really, honestly, Steve, started with really low and fulfilling work. That's where I learned construction and ended up getting into just carpentry in general, and a lot of it was just super rough, man. I mean, it was low end duplexes and rent houses and just nothing that you would really be proud of to work on, but there was extremely low risk, and I couldn't really mess anything up, and the guy that gave me a shot just kind of said, Jacob, go in here and I need you to do this, or I need you to do that. And this line was like, I don't know how to do that. And he'd say, well, figure it out.
Figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And so at first was obviously very intimidated by the whole idea of just jumping into something without knowing exactly how to do it. And it kind of just really taught me how to stretch myself and my abilities, and really ultimately taught me how to take risks and critically think through problems. And so that's how it really began. Like I said, a long time ago, a 14-year-old kid, didn't know what the heck he was doing, didn't know that this was going to really change my life, and just started working, really hard and just dedicated myself to it because I felt like I had somebody give me an opportunity. And opportunities are something that I just try to really put a lot of focus and emphasis on with the guys that work for me, people I interact with, trades and subcontractors. That's really a big part of my message is just really trying to capitalize on opportunities when they're given to you. And I can really kind of dial all of business success back to that, because just seizing an opportunity and taking advantage of it has led to more opportunities and has led to more and more and more. That's a really basic fundamental idea, but it's something I don't ever want to lose sight of. Try to get guys to keep that perspective, just to seize the opportunity that's at hand, because if you don't, it will, it has the ability to really diminish your ability to have more in the future.
Yeah. Tell us about those first couple of years when it was like official, when you started in when you were 20.
Well, it was tough. I did anything that I had to do to, make ends meet. I mean, pay bills and just keep the lights on. And I was a self performer, and I had a truck and a trailer, and I had all the tools in the trailer, and I would show up every day diligently to whatever job I was on, and 7:30, 7:45 in the morning at the latest, and I'd work till 5, 6 o'clock at night. And I would just do that repeatedly, and I would be the guy that would, like I said, self-perform everything from, obviously what it ends up now being more work in cabinetry and construction oriented, but started with taping and texturing and tearing down walls and laying flooring and painting, fixing plumbing and electrical and stuff like that. Not anything that I was ever intimidated by or necessarily passionate about, but things that had to get done. And
Mm-hmm.
so I started with that type of thing. And again, I was super fortunate enough to have an opportunity where I was just working for a guy that was fine with taking as long as it took to get the project done, and
Mm-hmm.
kept him very happy, and led to a referral, which led to more and more and more. And eventually got to a spot where I found my niche towards cabinetry and millwork and just trim, and I just really found something that I really liked. And once I really figured out that that's what I liked, that's obviously what I began to pursue. And
Yeah.
yeah, eventually, more opportunities came where I could be a little bit more selective with what came across my plate. I didn't have to take on every project that came in the door just because I needed something to do. And that and that's something I honestly still struggle with today, Steve. I'm 14, 15 years into this business, but being able to understand how to delegate and use my team members and the guys in my company instead of me having to self-perform all these tasks now.
Yeah.
There's days I don't get covered in sawdust anymore, unfortunately, and that's okay with me. I don't have to be behind the table saw or, running a router or, sanding something. But I get to employ guys that get that opportunity and can be passionate about it, use their strengths to accomplish these cool projects that come across my plate now.
Yeah. 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 How big is your team now?
I've got I think 14, including myself, full time guys that work for me. I've
Really?
got two, no, I've got three design guys and then one project manager, and everybody else is out in the field or in and my guys are great because they all wear a ton of hats. I mean, there's times they're building cabinets, there's times they're installing, there's times they're tearing walls, hauling material. I mean, there's, it's a really good team atmosphere. And that's something that I try to preach from the very, very get go, just in my hiring process of just trying to be real with the guys. A lot of times they'll sit across from me and say, "Hey, what's my job description going to be, or what am I going to do?" I just kind of laugh. I'm like, "Man, I can't tell you. I can tell you general terms what you're going to be working on, but I have a plan today, and tomorrow that plan's going to change, and I need you to be ready to pivot and adapt." Um,
Yeah.
and then just taking that critical thinking, the thing that I told you, I just put a big emphasis on, and just try to find that strength in these and the people that work for me, because it's just honestly it's a requirement. You've got to be able to uh, figure some stuff out. As much as I may have a plan on how to construct something or how to mill something or design something, it's not always fail proof, and a surefire way to uh, get from point A to point B. So I just try to give my guys enough fluidity to where they can, I can suggest, hey, here's how I would do this, but you know, you can put your spin on it, and I don't
Yeah. Yeah.
necessarily care how you get to the finish line. But I think I know what I'm talking about. Try it this way, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, it's okay.
Yeah.
And give them room to, kind of figure it out on their own too.
So, I interview a lot of people and I look at their work and I see their history and you get to work on some really cool projects. Like that airplane hangar, that house on 65,000 acres. I was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah,
The work that you did in the house, not only is it a cool project, the work that you did in the house probably stretched you like imagination, and there were probably so many different moving parts of that project. Um, Question for you is, uh, when did you start to feel like, oh, this is real, like this is what I'm going to be doing my name's on it. This is where I'm at right now, and this is what I'm doing. Do you remember that project or that feeling or that time?
I can remember one specific project, yes, that really, I think, kind of changed who my target market was and who I began to really appeal to. And
Uh,
it kind of just it fell into my lap, and I've said it a million times, but God's got his hand all over my business, and there's just, he puts the right people in my path at the right times, and I can't necessarily explain it. You do got to have a bit of luck and just good fortune in business to be able to make it sometimes, and that's that honestly, Steve, goes back to what I said about just capitalizing on opportunity. When I had a designer that I linked up with on a specific project, and we said,
mhm.
hey, this client we're about to work for is kind of one of those golden goose clients. We got to take care of this, and we got to knock it out of the park, and
Yeah.
we just got to handle business, and we did. And it really it was just a really high end, honestly, a multi-year renovation, which is really what a lot of what I do now is. Um, but it started with that one, and it really kind of got me into that high-end market from a millwork standpoint, and just high-end finishes and decorators involved and designers and just the stuff that you want to be working on. So once I accomplished that one, got it under my belt, and everybody was happy and everything went well. Um, it you didn't have that in your portfolio.
Yeah.
And I can have people that can look at whether it's an inspiration image or whatever, and say, "Oh, hey, I've got something that kind of relates to that." You go back to that portfolio project and pull it up and say, here's what it is in the context of what we're necessarily talking about. But then when you can see the whole project and you can start to see, hey, this guy actually maybe knows what he's doing, type of thing. It it just instills a lot more confidence in myself from others to say, okay, I can trust him, and I can trust him with. I mean, because when you're in this higher end market, it's tough because this is a lot of people's life savings. It's their dream home.
Yeah.
This is their last try. They're going to do this thing again, and because of that, I obviously have to put myself in their shoes. I have to put myself in that chair across from me at the conference room table to say, I know what you're trying to entrust me with. I'm going to really respect it and be empathetic with the situation that you're in. And I just try to relate to people instead of tell them the things that they want to hear and tell them, oh yeah, we're going to get done fast and it's going to get done under budget. And I mean, unfortunately, I've had those conversations and I've learned the hard way that really it's more about being real and transparent than just telling people what they want to hear. And
Yeah.
because of that, I feel like I've built a good reputation around me, and I've got a really satisfied client list. And it's crazy. I live in a town of 200,000 people, and it's not necessarily known for its architecture and design or anything like that. There's some rough and tough areas in my town, and so I really, again, try to just pinch myself and be thankful for the opportunity that I have to be able to work on the things that I get to work on. Because, like I said, as a 14-year-old kid, 20 some odd years ago, I used to work on the opposite side of it. And so now
Yeah.
I'm into that higher end target market. I'm just really thankful for that. But that's really where it began. And I've just had the privilege of, like you said, being able to build a portfolio of really great projects from a construction standpoint or a renovation standpoint or just cabinetry and millwork. And so I've kind of got this three-headed business model, I guess, that I was on the phone with the guy just a couple hours ago this morning. Each one props the others up occasionally. I mean, there's times
Yeah.
that I've got tons of renovation work and, maybe just building one or two new houses. And there's times I'm building four houses and remodeling them. And, there's times that I'm not so heavy on the construction side and more really pushing on the cabinetry and millwork and production side. And so I'm really thankful that the business is built that way. It's where it's not, all of my eggs in one basket per se. But that's, again, even when construction things are busy, it then does trickle down to, the cabinet shop and then the work operation.
You said one each business. So you have your renovation, you have custom home building, and then you got your cabinetry and millwork, and each of them props up the other or feeds off of each other and benefits, right?
Correct. Yeah. And so, one of my famous lines is, "You can tell a cabinet guy designs my houses," and there's, that's just where the focus is on from a design standpoint behind the projects that I'm on.
Yeah.
It's not super common, but there's times where people will just engage with me on a chemistry network basis, and we'll handle business on that side too. But it's rare that I only do that. I usually have to, get a good building understanding. I'm not perfect by any means, but I do have enough understanding of how things work to be able to, help persuade a builder or designer, even if I'm just in a cabinetry and millwork scope, to, you know, make all things work together instead of, just take orders and speak up. I think there may be a better way to accomplish it.
Yeah. Hey, how do you get most of your projects? Is it referrals or what kind of marketing are you doing?
Yeah, it's mostly referrals. I'd like to just have a satisfied client list. I mean, I live in what I say is a big small town, and so the majority of whoever I've worked for in the past knows in some circle or another, somebody else that needs some business. I mean, honestly, I don't really market myself much at all. I mean, there's been a few magazine publications here locally. So I've got a decent Instagram presence, but I keep my website and portfolio up to date. But aside from that, I really don't do much. But that's the power of Instagram is kind of crazy. I mean, case in point right now. I mean, we're connected in a way
On it?
that
Yeah.
wouldn't be possible otherwise. And I've got some really cool projects from Instagram and social media, and we've dipped cabinetry and millwork components in multiple areas across the nation. State of Texas, and um, I just think that's cool. That's just the world that we live in now. I think the previous generation, didn't necessarily respect that quite as much, and I just learned to embrace it. And I just think it's cool to get to connect with people. We've done stuff for some higher profile celebrities and things like that just from this Instagram connection. And I think that's just a unique world that we live in. So
Yeah.
that's why it does garner some of the attention that it does, and it's worth putting a little bit of investment into the making your portfolio look good, and to just continue to scroll and see cool project after cool project. Um, so it's so yeah, there's a little bit that comes from Instagram, but it's just local local referrals and word of mouth.
People know you and what you're known for, right?
Right.
Yeah. Um, where what's been the most sort of pleasurable aspects of your business, or what have been the best investments in your business that you've made?
People for sure.
Yeah.
I can't even hesitate when you ask that because back to the investment that somebody made in me when I was 14 years old. I tried to take that. I mean, it changed me, and I am proud to say, not arrogant or anything, but I'm proud to say that I've definitely done that to some other guys that work for me, and taken them from a certain path or a certain trajectory in life and molded molded them and put them on a different path, and not because they were on necessarily a path for failure or anything, but I felt guys find a path and be able to make a good living, doing some of this stuff instead of, having to go to college and rack up a bunch of student debt that they and still not know what to do. And so
Yeah, yeah.
being able to make a difference in guys' lives has been, one of the things that's been the most rewarding for me as a business owner.
Yeah, it's it, there's a funny story that so the wood industry, like, and the construction industry, it's kind of filled with a lot of solo, put everything on their back type of people, right? And at what point did you know that that path wasn't for you and you actually had to build something?
Uh, I don't know I mean, I
Do you
was
know what I
pushed
mean? Do you
from,
understand what I'm saying? Like, do you
yeah, yeah.
understand? Like, yeah.
Well, because I think for a long time, growing up, I think the, you know, the idea was, well, you're going to go to high school, and then when you finish high school, you're going to go to college. You're going to figure out what your path is, and you're going to go get a, you know, career job, and it may be behind the desk, or it may be climbing some sort of corporate ladder. And I think I just adopted it early on because I didn't know that there really was another path. And then once I got into what I got into, I stuck with school. I took 8 years to get my 4 year degree. Worked a full time job and I just chipped away at a degree. And a lot of people think I'm crazy, but I've got an accounting degree and it helps a ton with what I do. I mean, I'm very glad to say I don't handle that stuff anymore. A great, a great
Finance
asset,
person.
and yeah,
Yeah.
for finance guys, yeah, CPA and accountant, all that I can push all that payroll things off onto. But again, back to me on the truck and the trailer, I was that. I was that department. And I was every other department. Because when you start, you do it all. You are staying
Yeah.
up late doing invoicing and proposals and spreadsheets and cost analysis and all that kind of stuff. And I'm still working on this. I'm trying to get to where I don't have my hand in necessarily all of the different assets of my business. I want to more, you know, observe than control all of those
Yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah.
And
Lead instead of like directly managing, right?
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah.
So, I ended up getting that degree and I finished it and I was like, what am I going to do with this? I'm not going to necessarily stop this train that I've started as far as my business was concerned. And so I think that's when, and obviously once it became sustainable and was comfortable and it was growing and all that, I mean, I love what I do as much as I'm stressed, all the time. I love being able to wake up early and go to the shop early and get into design work or, dream about something and figure out a way to make it come to life instead of feel like I'm trapped in a career path that I've chosen that's not necessarily where I'm going to do this for life. I've got two young boys and, maybe they'll end up being a part of it someday or maybe not. I'll leave that up to them. But I want to continue to build something that, will be around for the long haul.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a good answer. Yes.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, for those that are paying attention to the podcast and I'm you'll probably be over my 300th podcast by the time yours comes out. I've interviewed companies of woodpreneurs of all sizes and the pervasive the pervasive sort of mindset, and it's not everybody's like this, is to don't want to they want to stay small, don't want to get big. um and I always get concerned because even as a business owner myself about longevity and sustainability and just the mere fact that you just can't do everything by yourself. um you can, because in your mind, we're all this 21-year-old kid that believes that they could do everything themselves. But when it comes down to it, we only have a finite amount of energy, and we have families and we have other responsibilities, and you just can't work yourself to death. Oh, and by the way, you're not the best at everything. You could potentially be giving somebody else an opportunity to do it. And, it's one thing to feed your family, right? But imagine feeding 14 other families as well, right? And so it's a heavy responsibility. Not everybody's built like that. Um, but I'm definitely doing my best for the woodpreneur community to tell more stories about people that have businesses of size. Um, because at the end of the day, Jacob, like, what do you feel like the legacy is going to be with Reinbold?
Well, I think it'll be again built on just a long history of just really high caliber projects, homes, work projects that are you know just unique and different, and something that's going to be timeless. That word timeless is something I try to just say a lot with all of whatever we touch because I don't want to do stuff that's get a whole lot of satisfaction and pride knowing that whatever we do is not going to stand the test of time. And not just from a durability standpoint, but from a design standpoint. And so that's one of the reasons why I said earlier that I will, I mean, I just built enough confidence in myself to speak up, whether it is with a well established designer or architect or client, whoever it may be, and just say, hey, I don't know if that's, the goal here and if that's going to actually accomplish what you're after. And so I just learned to, speak up. And the worst thing that could happen is somebody say, okay, well, that's your role here, and you fall into line and do this. But that it rarely ever is like that. And so I want to be able to look back, and just like I can look back. I was having a conversation with some friends last night about this perspective and being able to recognize where you've come from and where you're still going. Because at age 14 or 20, I didn't think I would be here today. But just because
Yeah.
I'm here today doesn't mean it's an instant success, and that doesn't mean I need to rest on the place that we've accomplished now. I want to continue to build that. And honestly, Steve, that doesn't mean I'm going to have a 30 employee team. I don't know what if I want to scale up or grow, necessarily by the numbers of company size or employees or whatever it may be. I want to stay true to what I do, and as you said, as as business owners grow, the responsibilities do change. And just because you can do everything doesn't mean you have to. And one of the phrases I use a lot is just what is the highest and best use of your time. I know what I'm good at, and I know that I can do most things because I'm a problem solver. But I
Yeah.
also have to be able to know that it's not the best use of my time to be sitting behind a computer laying out guidelines. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's pressing go on my router, or it's feeding some sticks of trim to the molder. But there will be times where I will do that to be able to invest in somebody and teach them and
Yeah.
actually involve them in the process. Because if I just tell them how to do it and say, "Hey, go do this," rarely do I get the outcome that I want. I'd rather get shoulder to shoulder with those guys and figure it out with them and let them understand that it's a task and a process that they can figure out on their own as well and just be confident in instead of having to take orders from somebody. And so I think that's one of the struggles of trying to be a leader is knowing when to give guys enough of a leash to maybe screw up and to make a wrong judgment call. But at the end of the day, I try to just celebrate mistakes too. When those mistakes happen, we've got to be able to say, okay, that wasn't what we wanted. It didn't go well, but what can we learn from it and how can we do
Yeah.
better? And again, that's goes back to those tiny little duplex houses I work on. Yeah, I might knock a hole in a wall I wasn't supposed to, but it can always be fixed. And so it's just trying to keep that mindset instead of getting so locked down in mistakes or problems that you feel like nothing's going right. But you can change your perspective and actually uh, use those as growth opportunities.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, so tell this is a part of the podcast where I give you any marketing or business advice. Is there anything that any questions you have or things I can help you think through?
Well, I mean, we were talking about Instagram earlier. Kind of my mindset with the way that I run that is more, you know, and I just honestly want your opinion on if you think it's the correct way to go or not. But I do, I think statement, I guess, towards the way that I run a profile would be quality over quantity. So, like, my posts are all geared towards finished projects, but I will generally, run stories, just kind of being able to have my phone in my pocket and give give my followers a view into the day to day operations, whether that's seeing CNC router, slinging dust around, or working through a finished project, or meeting with the trade, or seeing something go through the machine. That's just what's worked for me, but I
Mhm.
again have to learn how to adapt. So, do you have a take on that stance?
You want to, can you repeat the question? So like, give me the question again so I can completely understand it.
I was just saying that the way that I build run my Instagram profile has been towards my posts and everything that's landing pages, all finished projects, and stories are more geared around just my day to day processes and being able to see kind of behind the scenes look at how some of this stuff is created. And it's worked well, but I don't know if that's a common strategy, I guess, from other business owners. But do you have an opinion on that, or think I should tweak that, or
Yeah, so you have some pretty good engagement on your Instagram. Let me ask you a question. Are you in a position where with Instagram, is it more of a portfolio? Do you want to use it for more business? Do you have capacity for more business? Tell me what you're thinking.
I mean, I think I've always got more capacity for more business, but I think it is more of a portfolio and somebody to, again, because I mean, whenever I'm engaging with a new client, a lot of the stuff I pull up is from Instagram. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like to be able to have that media there for people to be able to say, oh, okay, this guy's got, one professional quality looking finished portfolio pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
But, they can click my little circle around my name and be able to see some of the processes behind it. So I think it's more of a portfolio than anything.
Okay, cool. So for me, I think honestly, so I'm looking at your Instagram right now. I think we need to have a picture of you as your profile photo. The
Mm-hmm.
first thing is like you have what I believe is a rug with your logo on it. Is that what that is?
No, that was my first building that I had my logo painted on the side of it. So it was just an
Okay.
old picture of my first
Yeah,
building. So
yeah. We need a smiling picture of you.
yeah,
That's what we need. Like the first because it's your name.
yeah,
It's your name, right? Like and I bet you you'll probably see an uptick in followers or engagement with your picture there. And so this is a lesson even for, a really successful business owner like yourself and for anybody that's listening is people buy from people
yeah,
and people identify with people. And so like this is you, clean background, smiling, they can see your eyes, no sunglasses, and it kills me the amount of people that don't actually uh, show their face, and it's kind of like the accident injury attorney uh, mindset, right? Like you're driving on a highway, you see all the accident attorney billboards, right? Or
yeah,
you're driving and you see the bench with the real estate. People buy from people, so that's the first thing. The second thing is um, social media and especially Instagram is now a search engine.
yeah,
So you need to have your profile optimized. So um, I would love to see. So you can change your name. So I would keep Jacob Reinbold, but put you know Amarillo, Texas there. Like so anybody that's searching for Amarillo, like you'll actually come up in your profile because of that. And the other thing is interior renovate. So you don't you so you do three things: custom home building, renovations, and millwork, right? Custom woodworking and millwork. Like
yeah.
you need to put everything just on your bio there, right? And so as people are searching for stuff, you can show up. So that's just on your bio and your profile picture. Um, and I think aesthetically, uh, adding um, highlight profile covers will help as well.
Yeah.
So you can take all of your different projects and then I think you have some pretty high profile. Uh, I think you have some pretty. If you can, take pictures of you and your clients and post them as stories. And so the other thing too is your work is so beautiful that people see your work in their home. The
Yeah.
next step is for them to start because they see the homes that you work in or the homes that you've built, and they're like, I want that. But if they could see the people who are your customers, they're probably just like them. So it's almost
Yeah.
like and you know, there's a reason why, and I'm sure Amarillo has this and every city has this. There's a reason why there's like, you know, these luxury magazines. And you know, in the back of the luxury magazines where they have all those events and they have the
Hmm.
pictures of everybody and then they list their names.
Yeah.
Dude, you have that opportunity to do that, right? Like, so for me, I went to your profile, and that airport hangar that you
Hmm.
built, you said in your profile, for a special person, special man in my life. And then you tagged some people. You know what I did while we were talking? I was like, I want to know who this special person is. So I went and I saw who this special person was. And so for me, if you could bring, and I know all of your people, whether they want to be or not, but like, you don't have to say their name. But if you showed a picture of your clients and you almost like, this is what I tell a lot of my clients is build a community around your brand. You have this great
Hmm.
brand. It's your name. You need to have your face being present, and you need to have your customers and their homes and the projects sort of front and center so that it actually takes a bit of pressure off of you. And then there's mere association through your clients about the community of customers that you built. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Just kind of making it a little bit more personal so that somebody can more or less substitute themselves into that image and say, I want to be the person that's in that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And even as you are building for a client and you're doing stories, tag them. Tag them, right? Like tag them on so that they can see the process, right? Um, and then so it's I mean there's a reason why they call it social media. It's because you want to make it as social as possible. Okay, so we just did that. So we just did the profile and then we did the sort of concept behind the types of content. So for me, um I do like the finished product. I like showing the finished product. And I do like the carousels. I just put it this way: whenever you put a reel out, it does really well.
Mhm.
So to me, I'm like, you're probably not doing enough reels.
Well, yeah, and I just haven't really jumped into that quite yet. I probably need to figure it out a little bit more because I'm the one that runs every bit of the profile. And so,
Dude, your reels get over. I'm looking. I haven't seen anyone under 5,000,
yeah,
and the highest that I've seen was 122,000. Um, and the other thing that I think about as well is um, you should oh shoot, that's so cool. The cabinet that went into the game room.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so for me, I look at like you got to go out and optimize those profiles. You got to put the location, not the exact, but put the city that it's in, right? And start tagging. So most of these are in and around Amarillo, right?
yeah, everything. Hmm.
Yeah. So you know how you can put a location in your post? Just
Yeah,
make sure that you always put the city because as people are searching the city and millwork or city and cabinetry or city and renovation, your profile will come up.
yeah, yeah, I understand.
Okay. So that's what I would do more reels, and just make, and you can turn stories into reels. Um, but yeah, no, I get it, right? Like you want to make your stuff look like a brochure.
Yeah,
Um, but I bet the interior designers that you work with, or the ones that you haven't worked with yet, you want to give them a glimpse into who you are personality wise. And so as much as your cabinets and your renovations are amazing, you know it's even more amazing? You showing your workers on your feed,
yeah,
your employees on your feed, you showing up to a job site on your feed, right? You running the table saw, right? Like those sorts of things, they count just as much. And their
yeah,
content that you're producing content all the time, like all the time. The other thing, lastly, is um, you can do pinned post,
right,
and I would create specific content on your history. One is your history. One is your uh how to your like showcasing your work, right? Like
hmm,
about us. The second one is your the types of services that you do, custom cabinetry, um, renovation, and new construction. And then the third is how to do business with you. We are just releasing our latest training. And over this training, I go over how I helped generate $200,000 and 300 leads for clients. And during this 45-minute training, we will go over the frameworks, the strategies, and the concepts that you need to scale from 6 figures to 7 figures, or even just get started. These are the building blocks that I've seen help wood, lumber, furniture, millwork companies grow and scale. So I've been hearing it lots of times, like, I just need a training, I need a training, I need a training. So we finally put it together. So wherever you're consuming this, just click the link in the description and you'll be able to access it.
yeah,
And those could be your pin or a testimonial. Like you can swap whatever those. But I would build and edit really good pieces of content specific for that. And those are the top 3 that you can pin. So if you did that, you optimize your profile, you have your highlight covers, and then you did more stories, I bet you, and you did more reels, you would get a lot, you'd grow a lot more.
yeah. No, I think that's gold, Steve. I mean, I think that's good. I mean, you're right. You know, as much as I can say, there's good stuff to land on and see. And you're right. I don't think there's enough of a personal connection to, you know, in, as somebody's exploring their profile or whatever, being able to envision themselves starting the process and communicating with me and who they're communicating with and who the team is constructed. You know, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, I think that's definitely a good idea.
Yeah, yeah, I think that would help a lot, especially if you get a lot from Instagram. And I would say one more thing, which is probably more important than everything, is I would put out something educational, and it could be like I would put out something educational of value to your clients or to your potential clients. Like what is, and I'm gonna, brainstorm a little bit. Like what's something of value that you can give to somebody for free before they start working with you?
Hmm. I mean, maybe just some insight into the process of, just the investment piece of what it goes on behind the scenes. I think, like once you do engage with Reinbold, engage with Jacob, and you say, "Hey, this is what I want to do," I can say, "Okay, great. Here's actually what happens whenever you do that. Here's how I then take some of these responsibilities and delegate them to team members, and we will get into design work. We'll do conceptual and proposed ideas, and things like that." So I think that could be something that there's a lot of value there because there's not a lot of people out there with the software that know the understanding of how to take words from somebody's mouth and actually create something with it. And so I think that could be something that I could potentially just, and that's, there's obviously, as you know, you got to do a little bit of legwork before any project manifests and actually turns into something substantiated. But that seems like that would be something that, just a little bit of insight into what happens whenever you get engaged and what the next, what that kind of,
And is this is this something that you can write down, or is it something that like you explain through video? Like how, like what how would you deliver that at scale to a lot of people, you think?
we say video probably, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an interview type process, but I think it could be, hey, here's what the steps are from step one to step 20 or whatever it may be, to where there is actually something that you can look at and realize like, okay, this guy that I'm engaging with can handle what I'm after. And it is, he has taken what I've expressed and actually done something with it that's accurate. So I would say that probably be a video type situation instead of just, a whole bunch of slides that says step 1 through 10 of how to, how to make something a reality. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
think that's a good idea.
Okay. Yeah, so here's the point. I don't know what happened to the video. Is I think the best thing for you is if you can somehow create that, because you have, almost 30,000 followers, and I would figure out how to get those 30,000 followers onto your email list. And if you can get them on an email list, then you kind of own them for life. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Because I always get concerned about people, that rely too much on social media platforms. Because I've gotten my account taken down, um, and it was like Instagram's mistake. You know what I mean?
right.
And I had to go back and verify that the account was, uh, my I had to make sure that my I had to make sure that my like I had to verify that the account was mine and I was
Mm-hmm.
who I was, but and that happened 2 times. And so like luckily I don't rely exclusively on Instagram, but if you can start moving some of those, because I bet you don't have a mailing list, right?
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So if you can get even if you could get 10% of your 28,000, that's 2,000 people onto an email list, and you routinely market to them and send out monthly newsletters on projects that you were going for. And if you convert, 1% a month,
Yeah, yeah. I
one or
mean,
two projects
mhm.
a month, that's a worthwhile investment, don't you think?
Yeah, no, I would say so. Yeah, I mean,
For
especially
sure.
when you're dealing with an audience that large, it's easy to turn somebody into something,
Somebody
into
into something.
a project. Yeah.
For sure. Cool. Was that helpful?
Oh yeah, it was definitely helpful. I took some notes on that and definitely definitely appreciate the insight. And just
Awesome.
honesty too. I mean, it's yes, as much as it has worked, I don't want to just rely on, like I said, just something that's been fine. I want to be able to take it to the next level. So yeah, I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
That honestly, the biggest thing is like whatever works for you, do it more. And then after you do it more, you do it better. Like I learned this from Alex Hormozy. He wrote a book called $100 Million Leads, and he said uh, more, better, new. Right. So first you do it more. If reels, you're killing it with reels, and you haven't even posted that many reels. So do more reels, right? And and then you do it better, and you optimize. So now we like you optimize, and it's the same thing. Like you built something once, you optimize it the next time, right? You move your shop around, like you
Hmm.
figure out the
Hmm.
process, you optimize it, and then you add something new. So for me, I would think the next frontier after Instagram would be either your personal Facebook or an Instagram or a LinkedIn account.
Okay.
And like cuz your audience older demographic, people with a lot of money, they're on Facebook. They just started getting to Instagram in the past couple of years. Just. But they're still on Facebook. So anyway,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Jacob, for your time. Any last bit of parting advice for the Woodpreneur community?
Um, Man, I think, like I said, just be willing to adapt. And it's just, obviously, even as you're giving me, it's kind of funny because you're sitting here telling me to do what you're doing and do it well, and then, do it more and then do it well. That's, I want to encourage guys to do the same thing. Find the thing that's working for you, but also don't be scared to delegate some of your tasks out and to not be the person that is wearing every hat in your business. I know that comes with growth and good hires and good structure and good processes, but eventually just know that you can't be the guy with a truck and trailer all the time. If your business is going to grow, you're going to have to, be able to delegate some of those things. It doesn't mean you have to let go of them completely, but you don't have to be the person that's um, handling every step of every process. So
For sure. For sure. Cool. Thanks so much. What's your website and Instagram for folks?
Instagram is at Reinbold Inc. ReinboldInc. Website's the same, www.reinboldinc.com. And, yeah, you can find me on Instagram and give me a follow.
Cool. Well, I hope I didn't take too much of your time. I know I said 30 minutes, but a lot of I mean we're at 50 minutes from now. I hope you found this valuable, and I hope the Woodpreneur community found this valuable as well. This was I like this episode, and I like I said, I'm not lying. I really love your work, and I wanted to just meet you to see the mindset of something that could produce something that beautiful.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and Steve, I definitely appreciate what you're doing for the community, and thank you for reaching out to me and giving me the opportunity. And yeah, hope listeners find some value in it for sure.
All right, talk to you soon. Bye.
See you.